Raider Nation, good morning. It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. What a crazy day. Yesterday was Super Bowl 60. Shout out to everybody that pulled up and showed out for us here on the Raiders Report. But the reason why I'm here is we got some Klint Kubiak news. If you did not see, yesterday after the Super Bowl, Klint Kubiak confirmed that he's going to the Las Vegas Raiders. So we're going to talk about Klint. We're going to kind of talk about what we can expect here from Raider Nation, I would say over the next 24 hours. On top of that, what I also wanted to discuss today is my interaction with Fernando Mendoza at the Super Bowl. Had a really cool little time to get to know him. He got to talk to me a little bit, and I'll tell you this right now. He knows Raider Nation has got his back. Then, what I want to get into is some Maxx Crosby trade rumors from Ian Rappaport, because it has a lot more to do with the health side of Crosby, and I just want you to see this report from Rap Sheet because it's a lot different than I think a lot of the other things that we've been hearing, but I also think that there's a lot of really good information in there. Also, I'm going to give you just my quick little recap of the big game in case you did not watch it yesterday, because I'll tell you this, it got wet and wild on the Raiders Report, no doubt about it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn on those notifications. If you don't know, I am going to be going live here in about 2 hours on the Raiders Report. I know I said I'd be live by 11 a.m. Eastern time, but I'm not going to lie to y'all. Y'all kicked my butt yesterday, and I needed a little bit of extra time to get some sleep because I know these are hungover eyes right now. So I'll be live here in about 2 hours, and we're going to be sitting back. We're going to be chopping it up unless breaking news happens that Klint Kubiak and the Las Vegas Raiders have officially agreed to that deal. But it was well known last week that Klint was going to be coming to the Silver and Black. We went live on Sunday, and with Klint saying everything that he did yesterday, Sam Darnold ended up saying everything that he did yesterday about, I'm pretty sure Klint's leaving. All the writing is on the wall that Klint Kubiak is going to be the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. So I just saw this interesting tweet, and it's from Diana Rossini, and it says, Klint Kubiak tells me that he's going to enjoy tonight and enjoy winning a Super Bowl, and tomorrow, meaning today, a new chapter starts as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Because Klint Kubiak is about ball, and because he is just always a football guy, I do anticipate that the news comes out today that Klint Kubiak is officially the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. There was a part of me that wondered, like, all right, could Klint party it up? Could Klint celebrate with his team? Maybe he gets 24 hours and then the official announcement is on Tuesday. The way that I think it's honestly going to end up going down, I think the official announcement happens today, which is why I want to be live. I want to be live with Raider Nation. I want to be live. I want to celebrate it with all of y'all, so pull up. But then what I also think ends up happening is that press conference introducing Klint Kubiak as the next head coach. I think that this could happen as soon as Tuesday. They want to try to get the ball rolling ASAP Rocky because, let's face the facts, when you have the amount of holes that the Raiders do, not only on your roster, but from a coaching staff standpoint, you got to get it going as soon as possible because you are a little bit behind the eight ball compared to some of those other teams that fired and hired coaches because they didn't hire anybody that was playing in the Super Bowl like the Raiders did with Klint Kubiak. Now, I do anticipate the Raiders to bring over a bunch of people from that Seattle coaching staff, and I've already done multiple videos on some of the people that I do think could potentially be coming over with Klint in Seattle. It sounds like the top name is Andrew Janocko, the quarterback coach for the Seahawks, and it sounds like that's going to be your offensive coordinator. He's not going to call plays. He's followed Klint. He was there with them in Minnesota. He fought him in New Orleans, fought him to Seattle, and I believe it sounds like he's going to follow him to Las Vegas yet again. But that's a good thing because you're hiring Klint Kubiak to be the best version that you can get out of Klint Kubiak. And Andrew Janocko has been a big focal point, a big right-hand man to Klint Kubiak, and why you're essentially hiring him to be the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. So what I want you guys to do is this. I know it's still not officially official yet, but damn it, it feels about as close as officially official as you're going to get. Klint Kubiak yesterday on TV, they were digging for him. They're like, does this mean you're going to be the next coach of the Raiders? What are the next steps for you? And he was like, hell yeah, I'm going to Las Vegas. And you could tell he was excited about it. Like, his answer was not like him tiptoeing around it anymore. His answer was, I can't wait. Again, it's not a quote, but you could tell when he said it, he was like in his voice. Because often I've said, I want a guy that wants to make his legacy with the Raiders. And I think Klint Kubiak yesterday was like, yeah, of course I'm going to Las Vegas. And I think by him saying, of course I'm going to Las Vegas, there's a lot of people out there that said that this Raiders job wasn't a good job. And I don't blame anybody from saying that based on the past. But if you're looking at 2026 and where this team could potentially be going, I think there's a lot to work with, and I think Kubiak knows that. I think it's why he wanted to take this job at the end of the day, and I think that's why he said in excitement, hell yeah, I'm taking that job in Las Vegas. So I want y'all to show our new head coach some love. Type Kubiak down below, Kubiak. I know we're Kubiak, and if you want to get your hands on a We're Kubiak shirt, chatsports.com/Kubiak. I'll put that link for you guys down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. But Kubiak, we're riding with you, man. I hope you know that. I hope Raider Nation, we're a tough fan base. But I mean this when I say this. We're a tough fan base because we're a loyal fan base. And I know that we're a loyal fan base. You know why? Because Fernando Mendoza looked me dead in my eyes and said, the Raiders are the most loyal fan base. And if you didn't see the interview with Mendoza at Super Bowl Media Row, he was bouncing around to a bunch of different places. The one that I personally remember the most, because it's where I was sitting, where I was standing, was the one that he was doing with Kay Adams. Now, I know Raider Nation's not very happy with what Kay Adams has been doing, and I don't really blame you, Kay. I wanted to be able to sit down. I wanted to be able to talk to you about some of the stuff you got going on with the Raiders and the Raiders players, but, you know, that's probably another day. But what I do want to say is I appreciate Kay, and I appreciate her team allowing me to kind of get that opportunity to talk to Mendoza, because it would not have happened unless certain things needed to happen in order for me to be able to talk to Mendoza. But if you didn't see the interview with Kay Adams, essentially, you know, he's talking about the draft and how he's excited to go anywhere, and Kay tries to say a joke. It doesn't really land, so I start yelling Raiders. And I'm yelling Raiders, and then they go on a 1-minute tangent about how loyal Raider Nation is, and Mendoza's looking at me the entire time in the clip because he knows, like, I'm one of those Raiders guys. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, hey, man, like, let's get this thing going. And throughout that minute clip, it's on my social media at Mitchell Renz 365. I do, man. I felt like Mendoza was talking to me in that clip because he's looking at me the entire time. And at that point, I think he knew, like, oh, shit, like, that might be that Raider guy that I see all the time. So then, after the fact, he's leaving the Kay Adams booth, and the way Super Bowl Media Row is set up is you do have opportunities to walk and talk with people, but as soon as they get to a spot where, like, I can't get to because maybe, I don't know, it's NFL Network, Sirius XM, the Pat McAfee show. Like, there's just certain areas that, like, you just can't get to, and, you know, for the right reasons. But Mendoza comes walking out from Kay's show, and instantly I'm right there. I'm in his freaking back pocket. And I'm sitting there, and I'm walking, I'm talking with him, and I'd say for probably, I said 60 seconds to somebody. It felt like 60 seconds in my mind. It was probably like 30 seconds. But essentially my interaction with Mendoza, it was short, it was sweet, and I told him, like, hey, man, my name is Mitchell Renz. I host the Raiders Report, the #1 Raiders show in the entire world. Would love to be able to get you on this program, but I just want you to know that Raider Nation's got your back. We're excited to be able to get you here. We're excited to have you a part of this organization. And Mendoza was overly, like, nice. I mean, I don't really know how else to say it. I know I talked to a few people at the meetup Friday at San Jose, and that place was absolutely packed. But I told a lot of people, I mean, it's almost like he's too nice. And I mean that in the best way possible, because Mendoza's super nice, super supportive. Because when I said, hey, I run the #1 Raiders show in the world, him and his agent were like, oh, really? Do you? And I was like, oh, yeah, I would love to be able to get you on the program. I'm not saying I'm going to be able to get him on. He's obviously an extremely busy dude, and he's got a lot of other places that I know for a fact are trying to get him. But one of the things that Mendoza has done on camera is he's always been like, you know, I'll be happy to go where anybody wants to draft me. He crossed his fingers when he said about the Raiders, but when I was walking and talking with him, I was essentially just like, hey, man, I've done this show for a long time. I have not really seen this fan base get as excited about a player as they are with you. We rock with you. I hope that you know we have your back, and we're super excited for you to be able to join Raider Nation. And Mendoza looked at me again. We're walking and talking. He's a lot bigger in person, which I don't think people realize. Like, yeah, he's skinny, but if he adds a little bit of weight to him, I mean, I'm telling you, he's a lot bigger than what people realize. And Mendoza was just essentially like, you know, thank you to, like, me. He said thank you to Raiders fans, and he knows. Like, he made it clear to me. He's like, I know Raider fans have my back. And, you know, I think for him to say that to me meant a lot, because he is always somebody that's very honest. He's somebody that, you know, you could tell, like, is always about football, cares about winning. I think matches that Klint Kubiak type of mentality. And when you have people that match that type of mentality, I think really, really good things happen. So, again, I'm not trying to sit up here and say, like, Mendoza and I went out for dinner, but I don't know how many people can sit here and say that they shook hands, they met Fernando Mendoza, and yeah, we had a conversation. It was a short conversation, but it's one that I will hold near and dear to my heart because, damn it, I think that guy is going to be the next franchise quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders. Coming up here next on the Raiders Report, we're going to get into some Maxx Crosby trade rumors / a little bit of an injury update from Ian Rappaport because it's important. And I don't really feel like the Crosby trade rumors have been really reported well. Like, I'll be very clear. Like, I think the media has really kind of missed the mark on how all of these Crosby trade rumors have gone down because here's the thing. Somebody's lying. Either Max and his team are lying to our face and they're lying here, or the NFL media is just blowing smoke because they think that this is how it's going to be. To me, something's not aligning, and that's all I'm going to say, but I want to get into this Ian Rappaport article because yesterday I made a video because Schefter was talking about how apparently, the Raiders could accept a trade for Crosby if it was a Micah Parsons type of deal, and Schefter said yesterday that Maxx Crosby wants to be traded, and again, it's not exact quote, but in his video that he did, he's like, and everything that it sounds like is Maxx Crosby wants to be traded. But yet Max keeps saying that he doesn't want to be traded. I want y'all to see what Ian Rappaport has to say because, again, Ian's kind of going this way and all the other mainstream media has been going right. So I think it's important to see what Rap Sheet has to say here. Before I get into it, though, Prize Picks, today's show sponsor. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss the chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. You can find your community on Prize Picks. We're the new social media feature. You can share Prize Picks with your friends, copy lineups from your winners in a single click, copy lineups you like, use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow Prize Picks partners like me, tailor feed my picks with just one click. So my picks on Prize Picks are at Mitchell Renz 365. If that surprised you, and you don't watch this show too often. But Prize Picks is simple to play. You pick more, you pick less on at least 2 player stats. And if you get your picks right, you can cash in. I did a 5 or 6 pick. I think it was 6 pick power play yesterday. 5 to win, 177. Did not quite get it. And that's okay, man, because, at the end of the day, I had a great time watching the big game. Had a great time hanging out with all of y'all. And you're not going to win every single one. And power play, you go for a little bit more because, that you're probably not going to win all those big power plays. But download the Prize Picks app today. Make sure that you use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Let's keep it moving here. And I'm going to read y'all basically the entire article from Ian Rappaport, and this one came out yesterday, and it was titled Maxx Crosby, Raiders face uncertain future as trade buzz builds. So again, I don't typically read through an entire article. I do it once in a while when I do think it is necessary, so I want to be clear. I am going to do my best, which you guys know I'm not the best reader, to go word for word from this article on NFL.com that was written by Ian Rappaport, and again, it is titled Maxx Crosby, Raiders face uncertain future as trade buzz builds. So here we go. The future of Maxx Crosby with the Raiders is still unclear, leading to that topic being one of the most discussed on Radio Row this week ahead of Super Bowl 60. If Las Vegas will trade Crosby, who has spent his entire 7-year career with the franchise, and kick into gear a proper rebuild is one of the biggest questions this offseason. That question, however, might not be answered for some time. Sources clarified that Crosby actually underwent a minor meniscus repair, not a trim, on January 7, meaning his recovery will be measured in months, not weeks. A meniscus trim is often 4 to 6 weeks of recovery, while a repair can be 3 to 4 months. Crosby's should be shorter. So, something to think about. While Crosby is ahead of schedule and the repair was considered to be the best case scenario situation, it likely means he won't be medically cleared before free agency officially begins on March 11th at the start of the new league year. Teams can trust their medical experts and project the player's health, so a trade is at least possible, but rarely are players not yet finished with rehab included in blockbuster trades? This likely means that if Crosby is traded, it may be much later, perhaps at the 2026 NFL Draft or prior to the season. So what I think is really important about that is, we're talking a lot about Crosby trade, and I know for us fans, like, we're looking for a maximum type of, haul. I mean, if the term Micah Parsons type of trade is going to be thrown out there, I don't really see a team making a Micah Parsons type of trade if Maxx Crosby is not 100% cleared, which is kind of what Rappaport is talking about right here. Let's keep it going in this article. The Cowboys traded pass rusher Micah Parsons to the Packers late August last year, so a deal in the time period had precedent, but Crosby's rehab appears to create an elongated process. On his podcast, The Rush with Maxx Crosby, the star pass rusher said last month that I know I'll be back in June and described it as a long road ahead. The meniscus repair does take longer, but it's always considered to be the best option to prolong a player's career and help him get back to 100%. So again, I'm not sitting here acting like I'm an athlete even close to Maxx Crosby, but I did have meniscus surgery and I did have a meniscus repair. And it is supposed to, take a little bit longer of that process. I had also tore my ACL. But Maxx is literally saying, I know I'll be back in June. So again, that kind of aligns with a lot of the things that Rappaport are saying. And, if the Raiders are going to trade Maxx, I think that you're probably going to wait to trade him, because if he's not fully healed, I don't see a team giving up all those picks. And if you're not going to get all those picks for Maxx Crosby, well, then you're not going to trade Maxx Crosby. The only way you trade Maxx Crosby is if Maxx goes, I want to be traded. And based on everything that Maxx has said, he says that Las Vegas is home. He's literally was on the Rappaport show the other day on NFL.com. He's got Raiders hat on. He's got a Raiders sweatshirt on. I think Maxx continues to say, I'm going to control what I can control, but until I hear something different, I'm going to assume that Maxx wants to remain a Raider because, the Jay Glazer report, that really just sounded like Jay was talking about something that he heard back in August. And he was still going with it as if it was news. It's clear that Maxx wasn't happy about being sat down over the final 2 weeks of the season. But I do think that Maxx understands what the larger picture is here. And the larger picture is, hey, man, we need you to be 100% healthy. That's going to help us get a head coach like a Klint Kubiak. It's going to help us put our best foot forward to finally get this team going in the right direction. So here's another thing from Rappaport. Sources say Crosby and the team are in a great place, even with Crosby obviously frustrated with not being able to finish the season on the field after he was shut down for the final 2 games. So again, Ian Rappaport is saying sources say Crosby and the team are in a great place. So sources from Rappaport, Crosby's been saying that they're in a good place. Rappaport's team saying they're in a good place. And then on top of that, it's really hard to trade a player when, again, you're kind of in this strange little situation with the surgery, because are you going to give up that many picks for a guy that your medical team doesn't know if he's 100% cleared yet? Yes, we expect him to be ready to go, but 29 years old, I'm just saying, this report here from Rap Sheet in this article is completely different, but this aligns so much more with, I think, a lot of the Raider fans have been hearing. I know, me personally, this aligns so much more with everything that I've been hearing compared to, everything else that people have been saying. Because if you were to listen to Rappaport, Diana Rossini, Jay Glazer, it sounds like Maxx is sitting up there going, I want to be traded. I don't see that, hear that at all, based on anything that I've seen, based on any of the reports that I actually think are worth noting, like this one here from Rappaport. So he keeps on going. Crosby hasn't requested a trade. When Raiders general manager John Spytek was asked following the season if Crosby was untouchable, he kept it open by discussing how highly that he thought of Crosby. Quote, I love Maxx. He embodies what a Raider is, Spytek said on January 5th. Now, obviously, the Raiders are thinking about doing a full-on rebuild, and they're building for the future. But I also think being able to keep a guy like Maxx Crosby is important. And sometimes little moves can really point at what happens. And the fact that the Raiders kept Rob Leonard, that's a big win for Maxx Crosby. Maxx very close. Also, a move that really is good. A.J. Nebel is very high up on Maxx's list for strength and conditioning coaches, but the number one guy that Maxx, I would honestly say, is the closest to out of anybody on that coaching staff, I actually think it's Rick Slate. He's a strength and conditioning coach, and he's like literally the dude that Maxx is with every single day. The video that I did, I want to say it was during Super Bowl Media Row, I said Nebel's name, and I meant to say Rick Slate. But I'm telling y'all right now, Rick Slate and Maxx are like this. And the fact that Rick is coming back for another year, I'm not saying like that's going to be the reason why Maxx stays, but the Raiders are making it very clear to Maxx that, hey, man, we want you to be around. And I think Maxx Crosby also does want to be around, but it's just like anything in life. If the Raiders get offered this unbelievable trade, you got entertainment because, again, nobody's above the shield. Raiders owner Mark Davis thinks highly of Crosby and always has. One wonders if he would do right by one of his loyal soldiers with a trade to a potential contender. In fact, it may be best for all sides, but answers won't come immediately. I appreciate the fact that y'all bared with me and let me read through that article from Ian Rappaport because I do think that there was a lot of really interesting things in there that, let's face it, hasn't really been reported by many people out there. And after reading that other report by Rap Sheet, again, I'm not really worried that Crosby's going to get traded. I really don't think that it's going to end up happening. If a Crosby trade ends up happening, I'll keep saying it. I think it happens in the year 2027 because of the way that Crosby structured his contract when he restructured it. And anybody that watches this show knows that that's what I've been saying. 2027. If the Raiders aren't winning by then, I do. I think that they end up trading Maxx Crosby. The final thing that I'm going to talk about here is a quick little Super Bowl reaction. It wasn't the most entertaining game, like let's just be honest with ourselves. But if I'm going to look at it from a Raiders standpoint, I'm going to look at it like this. Klint Kubiak, some people could say, it was a mid-game for him. And a game like that, you almost... I understand why Clint called kind of the game that he did because the defense was just so good, right? At the end of the day, it's about winning the football game. And I think a lot of Raiders fans wanted to see points. We wanted to see, Klint Kubiak go out there and do his thing. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of the national championship game with Fernando Mendoza where people wanted to see all these points, but that Indiana defense was shutting them down. And at the end of the day, you just needed to control the football and not turn it over. And that's what Seattle did. They controlled the football and they didn't turn it over. They really relied on their ground game to churn out that clock because they knew deep down New England wasn't going to be able to score the amount of points that they needed to. So, yeah, I understand that you didn't get as much maybe from what you wanted from a stat standpoint, but I also think that the way that Clint played that game is literally just win, baby, and it's commitment to winning, right? Like that's how that game plan was. He knew that he could be conservative. He just had to take care of the football, and that's what he did that entire game. But when he needed to make some plays, they made plays near the end of that game. I mean, that touchdown to A.J. Barner, it was like every time I saw Barner, I'm thinking of Michael Mayer, Brock Bowers. Every time I see Kenneth Walker touch the football, I'm thinking Ashton Genty. And, again, it wasn't Clint's best game, but what they needed in that situation in the Super Bowl was exactly what you needed. Control the football and make sure you don't turn over the rock. Because when you do that, when your defense is playing like that, you're going to win. And that's what they ended up doing. Other reaction here, I would say, I was pretty disappointed in the New England offense overall. Will Campbell, man, that was a really, really rough day. I think I saw it was 14 pressures, the most in a Super Bowl. Congratulations to Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP, dominant defensive performance from top to bottom. But I'm not surprised that Seattle won. They've been the best team all season long from top to bottom, and I'm hoping that Clint can take a lot of the pieces that he has in that coaching staff and he can bring them over here to the Las Vegas Raiders. So I'm getting ready to hop on out of here. Reminder, y'all, I'm going to be live at noon Eastern time. So that's about 90 minutes from where I'm at right now. I will see you guys. We're going to be ready. We're going to be here rocking and rolling. I do think that the official news will drop today that Klint Kubiak is going to be the next head coach of the Raiders. And I would imagine that the press conference for Clint being introduced as the Raiders head coach, if I had to guess, I think it's going to happen tomorrow. Maybe it happens Wednesday, but if you're Las Vegas, you got to get this ball rolling right now ASAP Rocky because you are a little bit behind the 8 ball. And with as much as we need this offseason, you can't be afford to be behind the 8 ball. So, Clint, enjoy that Super Bowl, but it's time to get it going, my guy. Raider Nation is excited. I know everybody out there very, very excited. So, appreciate all y'all tuning in to today's show, and I'll see you here in a little bit live on the Raiders Report. If you want even more videos from me, you can hit the subscribe button. I promise you I'm going to do my best to keep you guys up to date like I always do. And if you're down to party, you know where to pull up for when Clint gets hired. If you're looking for even more videos, though, you can click on one of these bad boys right here. YouTube's going to recommend them. At the end of the day, if you're looking for free Raiders content, hit that subscribe button and pull up to the Raiders Report every day.